Welcome to the Vine Resources podcast show. Welcome to another edition of the Vine Resources podcast show. Today I'm delighted to have with us Simon Grosse. Simon is the founder and CEO of Foundation SP. Simon, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, very nice to be honest on this. So thanks for having me.
Simon, would love to share with our listeners more about your company. Why don't we just start with a few minutes on telling us about who you are, who the company is, please.
Yeah, sure. So we're Foundation SP. We're a technology solutions provider that help our clients with employee collaboration, productivity and performance. So we're really a kind of a mix of helping customers with software and technology, but also with the kind of business change aspects of that as well.
Fantastic. And I think you've got about 43 employees and growing over there in Reading, is that right?
Yeah, spot on. Growing in, so headquarters in Reading and also another key office in Barcelona as well, which is very nice.
Fantastic. And in terms of your customer base, I know it's quite broad, but I know you also have a lot in the public sector and government. Is that right?
Yeah, we've got customers across sort of various commercial sectors and public sector. So in the public sector side, we've got customers in NHS, in education, and also in local government, and pretty much most of the commercial sectors we've got clients in various commercial sectors as well. So fairly broad in that respect.
Well, Simon, you founded the company and you're also the CEO. Can you share with us what a typical day looks like in the business for you?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I founded the company with my business partner, another Simon Walker. And I guess, what does a typical day look like for me? Well, it's a small business, so I get involved in lots and lots of different things. For me, it's probably a lot about engaging people. So although each day varies, it spans across working with existing employees, finding new employees, working with existing clients, finding new prospects and new clients, and also our business partners and doing work in our community as well. So very broad in terms of what I do, but a lot of it is about how do we improve our organisational capabilities, and we do a lot of embracing change pretty much every month in our business, so nothing ever stands still for too long.
Simon, can you perhaps name a person who's had a tremendous impact on you as a leader? Maybe it was even someone who at some stage was a mentor to you, and how that impacted your life so far?
Yeah, I've been very lucky in that I've had so many good leaders from an early stage and different mentors in a business sense. If I was kind of picking one, the honest answer would probably be my father, because he sort of got me into the business world in the beginning, but also taught me a lot around values, the importance of family, whilst also teaching me about, the personal dedication required in the professional sense, loyalty, belief, but also how you deal with setbacks. If I was gonna pick someone, it would be my father, who has passed now. But I have been lucky also that I work with some really good people, and I've got a couple of existing business coaches that we use both at an organisational level, but for me personally, that also help me with the development of our leadership team here in building trust. And I've also got somebody that I'm working with at the moment that's really specialising in helping us with high performance and how to help create high-performing teams. So I'm a bit of a sponge, to be honest. I tend to try and take all the good bits from everybody else and kind of recreate it in my own way.
You touched on something around creating that high-performance teams there, and the other side of that is obviously the employee engagement. So I'm curious to see what you do from the top in the company to keep your employees engaged as well.
Yeah, so we've done a lot with employee engagement and building our culture over the last 3 or 4 years, really. And that really started from, the understanding that everything works from trust. Customers work, we all try and aspire to build trust with our customers, and it's no different internally with employees as well. So we do various things, really. We reach out to people through staff roundtables. We have regular company events. of course one-to-ones. It's really about looking at every single interaction and looking at that employee experience from even before they're an employee, to be perfectly honest with you, and then focusing on all of the inputs, all of those performance things that we do every day, as well as the outputs, because I think particularly in the technology sector, lots of people are very focused on the outputs and the results, the end game, and sometimes we forget about how do we get great results. Well, we get great results through focusing on performance, and we get great results through having truly engaged employees. So, I do a lot of work with people in our business around what does their experience look like, how can we ensure that as an employer, we're really reaching out to them in a way that's going to get the best out of them.
Yeah, fantastic. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing business leaders today?
Oh, and there's lots of challenges, isn't there, facing leaders today. The landscape's really changed. One that really fascinates me is collaborative leadership and sort of accepting that the new norm of leadership needs to be and should be a lot more collaborative. We have various leaders across our organisation, and for bigger organisations, it's about how do leaders work together to create new business models, get everybody on board with a purpose and a mission, and ultimately get people empowered to be the best that they can be. I think that the whole thing about collaborative leadership is very interesting because it's much less now about hierarchy and much more about how do we get people kind of empowered to the maximum to get the best results.
What do you think's what's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Best piece of business advice. Well, at the very early stages of my career, this is a bit random, but at the early stages of my career, I was reminded, I think it was a quote from Mario Andretti, a former racing driver, that was, if everything is under control, you're not going fast enough. And that seems to still resonate today. And I still seem to use that myself sort of 25 years later. And I think one thing that I believe a lot in, which again came from an early boss, where he was saying, believe in yourself and commit. And I think, when I'm seeing people today that are doing really well in our business or new people that join the team, it's those with a genuine, unrelenting enthusiasm, that applying a ton of effort that seems to count for a lot. And so I don't think you can ever replace people's attitude and their enthusiasm that they bring to the party.
Absolutely. Look, you've touched on this a few times where you've been talking about employee engagement and the culture. So how do you help a new employee understand the culture of Foundation SP?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that we do a lot of qualification before they become an employee. So at the point of getting to know somebody, interviewing people, we have a big focus on our values. So our values are family, success, passion, and we talk a lot about what that means. We get to know people both over in conversation during the interview, but we ask people to complete a getting to know you questionnaire as well, which tells us a lot more about the individual, their aspirations, the things that are important to them, the things where they would fit and not fit in an organisation, because obviously it's very much a mutual qualification. When they do join, we go through a personal values realisation exercise as well, so that employees can really understand at a personal level about their own values, their own ethos, and I like to think that we help people with that. We've got a mission internally at FSP where that really helps employees understand our narrative, what it's like to work here. And because we're a values-led company, we spend a lot of time working on that. And we think that if we get the right people with the right values, then clearly they can learn the skills. It's not that we don't hire people with skills, of course we do, but we try and get people with the right fit, the right behaviours, and support them through a journey at FSP from when they come on board.
That's fantastic to hear. What's the one mistake you've witnessed business leaders making more frequently than others, Simon?
I think it's probably a lesson that I learned as well, to be perfectly honest, 3 or 4 years ago, is that lots of leaders do obsess over short-term results. And if we can look more so at the leading measures and look at the performance, those indicators that help us achieve those outcomes, that will be a lot more sustainable. So I think probably the short answer is, let's not obsess over short-term results only and really look at a rhythm of performance that becomes a sustainable measure for the longer term.
Absolutely. If there was one perhaps behaviour or trait that you've seen derail more leaders' careers, what was that behaviour or trait?
There's so many, isn't there? But I'd probably say it's just simply not doing what you say you're going to do, and that applies from your first job all the way through to being a CEO, or from when your career ends. That it's kind of keep your promises and do what you say you're going to do. That's a good starting point.
You mentioned right at the start, Simon, or earlier in the conversation, that your industry is changing, as many are. How do you see it changing in the next few years, and how will that affect your ability to attract and hire the best talent?
I mean, the technology industry affects every industry, doesn't it? So we now live in a world where change is inevitable, and from a technology and people's perspective, you look at things like automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, these kind of things, and everybody might think it's a long way out. It's not. What does that mean for us in terms of our ability to attract and retain talent? It probably means that we've all got to be at every level adaptable to change. We've got to be able to reskill in certain areas and be very agile. I think the important thing is that we want to make sure, regardless of where technology goes, that we maintain great human behaviours, and that we can adapt to what is a fast-moving world, but whilst maintaining a very good culture as well.
Absolutely. And if you had your time again, and you were giving your 20-year-old self advice, what's the one thing that you'd say to yourself looking back?
It would probably be that I think when you start your career, you have this view of a linear road to success where you just keep getting promoted, you just become more successful. And the reality is, of course, that a career and life generally is a roller coaster with lots of highs and lows, and there is no linear road to success. So, I still make mistakes every day, fail most weeks, but equally achieve as well. And I think building resilience to those things is really, really important. And I guess you just have to make sure throughout all of this you do the right thing, you look after people. Of course, it's a small world, and if you can do those things, you'll feel great for it.
Fantastic. Simon, thank you so much for sharing that with us. What's the best way for people to connect with you, get in touch with you or the company?
Probably LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, Simon Grosse, Grosse, and the company Foundation SP.
Simon, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Cheers then.